get ready to dive deep, because today we're taking on LLMs and generative AI.
Yeah, those AI tools that are making headlines, writing like Shakespeare 1 minute and painting like Picasso the
And
next.
we got a ton of cool stuff to unpack. Excerpts from a computational sociology class, some really awesome diagrams, even mind-bending visuals.
We're going to try and figure out how it all works, where it might be going, and maybe even tackle some big philosophical questions along the way.
Sounds like a plan. So let's start with the basics.
Okay,
Imagine AI as this massive family tree.
okay, I'm with you.
Right at the top, we have artificial intelligence, AI, the grandparent of it all.
The idea of making machines think like us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then comes machine learning, ML, its offspring.
This is where things start getting really interesting.
Right, we're teaching computers to learn from data.
Spot patterns, make predictions without us having to program every single step.
So like, instead of giving them a textbook, we're showing them how to ride a bike.
Yeah, exactly. Trial and error, figuring things out on their own.
Love that. And then, within this ML family, we have this super smart kid, deep learning, or DL.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, tell me more.
Deep learning takes inspiration from the human brain.
Hold on, so computers are trying to think like us now.
In a way, yes. Deep learning uses these things called artificial neural networks.
Okay.
Think of it like a complex structure with layers upon layers of interconnected nodes, kind of like how our brains process information.
So that's where the deep in deep learning comes from, those multiple layers.
You got it. The more layers you have, the more sophisticated the calculations can be.
Like comparing a basic calculator to a supercomputer.
That's a great analogy.
Actually, we have a diagram here that shows what this looks like. You see the input layer where the data goes in,
Right.
then all these hidden layers in the middle where the magic happens,
Each layer processing information, extracting features, learning patterns.
and finally, the output layer where we get our
It's
results.
like a little factory line.
I like that.
Uh-huh.
Now, let's zoom in even further. We have another diagram showing what's going on within a single layer.
So you have inputs coming in,
Right.
weights that determine how important each input is.
Okay.
All those signals get integrated. There's something called an activation function. And then finally the output.
Wow, a lot going on in there. But how does this all connect back to those AI tools everyone's using? The ones that are writing poetry and creating art.
That's where we get into the world of text and the power of LLMs.
Okay, so how do these neural networks actually understand and generate human-like text?
It all starts with turning words into numbers, right?
You got it. It's this concept called word embedding.
Word embedding.
Picture a map where words with similar meanings cluster together.
Okay.
That's basically what word embedding does.
We have a diagram that actually shows this. Each word is transformed into this numerical vector, a bunch of numbers that capture its meaning.
And how it relates to other words.
So words with similar meanings end up with vectors that are close together in this multidimensional space.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So king and queen would be neighbors, but cat and banana would be miles apart.
You got it. This allows LLMs to understand not just individual words, but the relationships between them, like a real language speaker.
Wow. Okay, so we can map words, but what about mapping entire sentences?
That's where sentence embedding comes in.
Sentence embedding.
We take a whole sentence and condense its meaning into a single vector.
Wait, really? We actually have a diagram for that too.
It's using a method called SAF, smooth inverse frequency.
Paf.
It combines those individual word embeddings to create one vector for the whole sentence.
That's incredible. And then there are things like universal sentence embeddings,
Right, capture meaning across different languages.
like a universal language of meaning.
Exactly. We even have a diagram showing how these embeddings are visualized. Sentences with similar meanings, no matter the language, cluster together.
Mind-blowing. Okay, so let's talk about a specific example of an LLM that's been making headlines. ChatGPT.
Yes, ChatGPT.
This thing actually took the SATs, right?
It did, and it scored incredibly high.
Like how high are we talking?
A combined score of 1,400.
Wow. Higher than a lot of college-bound students. What did that even mean in terms of IQ?
Well, it translates to a verbal IQ of 126, a math IQ of 126, and a full-scale IQ of 124.
124. That's on par with doctoral degree holders. How is that even possible?
It's definitely impressive, but it does raise a question, right?
Does acing a test really equal intelligence?
Exactly. These models can mimic human performance, but do they really understand?
Like, do they actually grasp the concepts, or are they just really good at recognizing patterns?
That's the key question. They might be excellent at patterns, but true understanding, reasoning, critical thinking, applying knowledge is a lot more complex.
So it's not quite intelligence as we know it, more like advanced information processing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So to understand how it achieves these feats,
Yep.
we need to look at the data it was trained on, its data diet.
Okay, the data diet.
So what does ChatGPT eat?
The training dataset for ChatGPT-4 relies heavily on something called the Common Crawl dataset.
Common call data set. Okay.
This is a massive collection of web data, 410 billion tokens.
410 billion. That's insane.
It is. But it's not just about quantity, the quality is crucial as well.
Right.
So this dataset goes through a refining process to make sure the model is training on balanced and diverse information.
So ChatGPT is not just gobbling up anything it can find.
Exactly. We have a diagram that shows how this data quality is improved.
Okay.
There are steps like deduplication, which removes duplicate information, and locally sensitive hashing, which groups similar data together.
So a healthy and balanced diet, not just junk food.
I like that. Now let's talk about the architecture behind ChatGPT and many other LLMs, the transformer model.
Transformer model.
This was a game changer because it allows a model to focus on the most important parts of the input data.
So instead of processing everything equally, it's paying attention to what's really important.
Exactly. Much like our brains filter out irrelevant information.
We don't focus on every single word in a sentence. We pick out the key parts to get the meaning.
You got it. And this architecture was first introduced in a paper called Attention is All You Need.
Attention is all you need. I love that title. So let's break it down further. How do these LLMs actually understand text?
It starts with tokenization,
Tokenization, okay.
breaking down text into smaller units called tokens.
So like chopping up a sentence into bite-sized pieces.
Exactly. We have an example showing how this works.
Okay, I'm looking at it, and yeah, it makes sense.
You see how words, punctuation, even parts of words can become individual tokens.
Like taking apart a Lego structure to understand how each brick fits together. Okay, so we've explored text. Now what about images?
Ah, yes. That's where generative AI, or GEN, steps onto the stage.
GEN,
If LLMs are the wordsmiths, then GEN is the AI Picasso.
creating images from scratch.
Exactly.
Amazing. But before we get into how they do it, maybe a step back.
Okay.
How do computers even see images in the first place?
It all comes down to numbers, believe it or not.
Uh.
Let's start with grayscale images.
All right.
Each pixel is represented by a number from 0 to 255, its intensity.
So 0 is pure black, 255 is pure white, and everything in between is a shade of gray.
Precisely. We have a diagram of the number 8 in grayscale and its numerical representation.
Oh, I see it now. Each pixel has a number based on how bright or dark it is.
And then color images are a bit more complex.
More numbers.
Essentially, a color image is 3 grayscale images combined. One for red, one for green, and one for blue.
Okay.
We have some diagrams showing this with a picture of a dog.
I see. The original color image is broken down into its red, green, and blue components.
And each of those channels is like a grayscale image with its own set of numbers.
It's like mixing 3 different paints to get a whole range of colors.
Exactly.
Now, this might sound crazy, but remember that transformer architecture we talked about? The one that's so good at language?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out it's also used in image generation.
It's true. The ability to focus on what's important is just as crucial for visual data as it is for text.
So it's understanding the relationships between different parts of an image.
Exactly. There's this tool called the Transformer Explainer that lets you see this visually.
Cool. Okay, so we've talked about how these models work, but building and training them must be incredibly complex and expensive, right?
You're absolutely right. Training something like ChatGPT is computationally demanding and financially expensive.
Yeah, 410 billion tokens. That can't be cheap.
It's not. And remember, as these models become more sophisticated, the costs only go up.
We have a diagram here showing the number of parameters in different AI models over time.
It's a dramatic increase, which tells you about the growing complexity and cost.
So ChatGPT, with its billions of parameters, can't be cheap to run.
Definitely not. But the results, as we've seen, are pretty amazing.
It's amazing how far we've come, but it also makes you think about all the resources and expertise that go into it.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that this technology, as impressive as it is a product of human ingenuity and huge data sets, not magic.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the hype and forget about the people behind it all.
You're right. And with these tools at our disposal, the big question is, how will you use them to shape the future?
That's a huge question, and I think it's one we'll have to explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into LLMs and generative AI.
So we've just scratched the surface of how this stuff works, but I'm curious about the bigger picture.
The bigger picture.
Yeah, like what does it all mean? After learning about ChatGPT acing those
All
SATs.
right, we talked about ChatGPT's performance scoring like a doctoral degree holder.
Exactly. It's mind-blowing, but it also makes you wonder, like, what does intelligence actually mean if a machine can do that?
Does it really understand what it's doing?
Right, yeah. If it can ace a test, does that mean it really gets those concepts?
Or is it just mimicking patterns?
Right. Like a parrot reciting Shakespeare, it doesn't actually get the meaning, right?
That's a great analogy. These AI models are incredibly powerful, but they are still just tools.
Tools, yeah.
They don't have that consciousness, the experience that makes human intelligence.
So it's not about AI replacing us, but more about figuring out how they can work alongside us.
That's a good way to think about it. Enhancing our capabilities, not replacing them.
I like that. It also makes me think about creativity.
Creativity?
Yeah, we think of it as a human thing, but what happens when AI can paint a masterpiece or write a symphony?
What does creativity mean then?
Right. Is it about coming up with something totally new or just combining existing ideas in new ways?
Mm.
And if AI can do that, does it make human creativity less special or does it actually expand the possibilities?
Interesting question. It definitely challenges our definition of creativity.
And imagine collaborating with AI, bouncing ideas off it, coming up with things you never could alone. Okay, but besides the philosophical stuff, what about the practical impact?
Practical impact, sure.
Like, what about jobs? A lot of people are worried about AI taking over.
It's true. AI could automate a lot of what humans do.
Yeah, that's a scary thought.
But throughout history, technology has always changed the job market.
Changed? How do you mean?
Well, the Industrial Revolution, for example, some jobs went away, but whole new industries were created.
So it's not about jobs disappearing, but about them changing and new ones popping up.
Exactly. The key is to adapt.
Adapt, yeah.
Instead of being afraid of AI, we need to see the opportunities.
Like what kinds of opportunities?
Well, LLMs can automate those boring, repetitive tasks.
Oh, I can think of a few.
And that frees up humans to focus on more creative, strategic work.
So it's not about being replaced, but about working together more effectively.
Exactly. But we do need to invest in education and training,
Why is that?
so people have the skills to thrive in this new AI-powered world.
Makes sense. Okay, so jobs are changing, but what about the ethical side of all this?
Ethical side.
Yeah, I've heard some scary stories about AI being used for bad stuff.
That's a valid concern. LLMs could be used to create fake news, for example,
Fake news?
or deepfake videos, stuff that makes it hard to tell what's real.
That's terrifying.
We have to think carefully about preventing that kind of misuse.
So it's about using these tools responsibly, ethically.
Absolutely. Transparency and accountability are crucial too.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if AI is making decisions that affect our lives, we need to understand how it works.
We need to be able to trust it.
Exactly. And hold it accountable.
It sounds like we need a lot more open discussion about all of this.
We do. Collaboration between the people developing the technology and the people using it.
That makes sense. Okay, so besides all these big picture concerns, what about how these things are actually being used as D?
Used, right. There's so many exciting applications already.
In what areas?
We'll take education, for example.
Education, okay.
LLMs could personalize learning.
Personalized learning interest.
Yeah, tailoring it to each student's needs.
Like having a personal AI tutor.
Exactly. It could adapt to your learning style, your pace.
That would be incredible.
And LLMs can help teachers too, with grading, lesson planning, freeing up their time.
To actually teach.
Exactly. What about healthcare? Have you heard about AI in healthcare?
I have, yeah, it's making a big impact there too, right?
A huge impact. LLMs can analyze medical records, help with diagnoses, assist researchers in developing new drugs and treatments.
So it's not just about treating patients, it's about advancing science as well.
You got it. And GEN is being used to create simulations for surgical training,
Wow.
so doctors can practice in a safe environment.
That's amazing. So we're talking about revolutionizing how we learn, how we heal, how we approach science.
It's really incredible, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Tip of the iceberg, there's more.
Oh, yeah. We're also seeing amazing things in the creative industries.
Creative industries.
LLMs can write scripts, compose music, even generate art.
So AI is becoming a creative partner, not just a tool.
Exactly. And GEN can create those mind-blowing visual effects we see in movies and video games.
It feels like the possibilities are endless.
They really are, and it's only going to get more exciting.
More exciting, huh? What else is coming down the pipeline?
Well, one area I find fascinating is the intersection of LLMs and GEEN.
Combining language and image generation.
Exactly. Imagine an AI that can create images based on your descriptions.
Like I could say, show me a picture of a cat wearing a hat, and it would actually do it.
That's the idea. Or an AI assistant that understands your visual queries.
Wow. So we could communicate with machines in a whole new way.
That's right. It's the future of human-computer interaction.
That's officially blown my mind. Okay, as we wrap up this part, I'm feeling both excited and a little apprehensive.
Understandable. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, these are powerful tools, but with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Absolutely. We need to be careful, make sure these technologies are used ethically.
It's about striking a balance, innovation, and well-being.
You got it. Ongoing dialogue, collaboration, and using these tools for good.
So where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, in the final part, we'll explore some emerging trends and future directions.
Like what kinds of things?
Multimodal AI, personalized AI assistants, even the potential for truly autonomous AI.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm ready for more. Okay, we're back for the final part of our LLM and generative AI deep dive.
It's been a wild ride.
It really has. So we've talked about how it works, the big picture, but now I'm curious about the future.
The future, yeah.
What's coming next? What kind of crazy advancements are we talking about?
Cool. One thing that's really taking off is something called multimodal AI.
Multimodal AI, what's that?
It means AI that can process info from multiple sources, not just text or images.
Multiple sources, like what?
Text, images, audio, video, even sensory data.
Whoa, sensory data too.
Potentially, yeah. It's about understanding the world more holistically.
So it's like an AI that can watch a video, read the subtitles, listen to the music, understand the emotions.
Exactly. It can analyze all those layers of information to get the full context.
Wow, that's amazing. What could we even DO with that?
Think about a supercharged search engine.
Search engine. Oh,
You
right.
could ask a question using anything, text, images, even audio.
So like I could hum a tune and it could identify the song.
Exactly. Or show it a picture of a landmark and it could give you all the historical info.
Wow. Okay. What else is in store for us in the world of LLMs and GEN?
Another fascinating area is personalized AI assistants.
Personalized AI assistants, huh?
We've got Siri and Alexa now, but they're pretty generic, right?
Yeah, they're helpful, but not exactly personal.
Well, imagine an AI that's tailored to you.
Tailored to me. Like how?
It would know your needs, preferences, even your personality.
It's like having a super smart best friend who also happens to be your personal assistant.
That's the idea. It could recommend things you'd love, help you discover new hobbies, even provide emotional support.
Okay, that would be incredible. But wouldn't that raise privacy concerns? I mean, you would have to know so much about me.
You're right, privacy is crucial here.
How do we balance that?
These systems have to be designed with privacy and security as top priorities.
So transparency is key.
Exactly. You need to know what data they're collecting, how they're using it.
And have control over it.
Absolutely. So yeah, there are challenges, but I'm hopeful we can find solutions.
Because personalized AI sounds amazing. But you also mentioned something about autonomous AI. And that one makes me a little nervous.
Autonomous AI, I understand the nervousness.
Yeah, AI making decisions on its own, it's a bit scary.
It is a big step, but think about the potential.
Potentially for what?
Well, self-driving cars, for example.
Okay, yeah.
They could make our roads safer, reduce traffic.
But what about safety? Who's responsible if something goes wrong?
That's a key question, and it's not just about cars.
What else?
Imagine autonomous AI in healthcare, diagnosing diseases, performing surgeries.
That's both amazing and terrifying. So what role do humans even play in all this?
That's the big question, and it's one we need to be thinking about very carefully.
Yeah.
It's not about AI replacing us. It's about augmenting our abilities, making us better.
AI as a partner, not a replacement.
Exactly. And the future isn't set in stone. We get to shape it.
We do.
We decide how to use these technologies, how to make sure they're used for good.
Wow. It's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but also incredible opportunity.
This whole deep dive has been amazing. Eye-opening, a bit overwhelming, but definitely worth it.
I'm glad to hear that. It's important to explore these things, to challenge our thinking.
Yeah, and prepare for the future.
Exactly. The future of AI is being written right now, and we all have a part to play.
So to everyone listening, keep learning, keep asking questions, stay curious. The world of AI is full of possibilities, and it's up to all of us to make sure those possibilities lead to a brighter future for everyone.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new and exciting.
Until next time, stay curious.